Hello and welcome to MSE 402 Project Management. My name is Dale Deerdorf. I'm your facilitator, instructor, and coach for the sessions, and it's time for Module 4. Module 4 is on the execution phase, and what I want to do is I want to walk you through a 10,000-foot overview, a quick video introduction into all the elements and components necessary for us in the execution phase, which focuses on measuring a project. So let's go ahead and jump into the overview. You're going to see that we have finished that last section, that piece of planning really had a lot in it. Now we're into executing. So you can see that in the execution stage, this is where we're going to start to look at creating that project baseline. So you put together the WBS structure, you put together the Gantt chart, the preliminary Gantt chart. It hasn't been resource loaded. It doesn't have all the costs associated with it. It doesn't have everything fine-tuned as far as budgets go. It hasn't had KPIs introduced to it yet. There's a variety of different things that haven't happened to it yet, but what we want to do is we want to set ourselves up to where we can start to look at creating an earned value snapshot of the project. At the same time, you'll see in the executing phase, this is where officially it says we're supposed to looking at, communicating, how we monitor, how we control the project, and we're setting ourselves up for trying to finish the project. It flows into that particular piece also, but the executing phase is the majority of a project. You're going to find that if you take a look at the timeline, the time it takes to get initiating planning in place is very short duration time-wise compared to executing a project. And you may have different resources as far as people that work on different areas of a project. Many times it's hard to start working a project proposal in the information stage and work it all the way to closing a project. You may only be working a small area of a project. So the flow that we're introducing you to, this pracademic project approach, is to show you what the entire project looks like, for you to experience working all the way through the project from step to step to step. Executing a project is what typically takes the majority of the time. So you'll notice that in your scheduling, as you're kind of laying out what the execution would be, those are tasks that are typically going to take you a longer period of time. So this is the flow. Also, during the execution stage, if new scope comes in, it may cause you to need to do some sort of a, I'll call it, either a rebaseline, or you may need to go in and look at, do we have project management reserve, or do we have project reserve associated that we can use to cover these overruns? Now, you've had a DMS system that's been implemented. That's one overrun. You may see that there are additional overruns that are coming your way from a project standpoint. Any of those new changes as they come in on the side cause you to need to dial up and down potentially the quality of the deliverables that you're providing to the customer. So let's take a quick peek at Module 4. Now, Module 3 sets us to the stage, once you completed that, of being halfway through the course. So congratulations on being halfway through the course. It's moving very fast, and I know you're looking at it going, wow, we've got a lot on our plate to finish before we get through, but I just wanted you to know that you all are doing an excellent job. I'm very, very proud of all of the hard work that you've put into the assignments so far. So let's take a look at the week 4 lecture that we've got lined up for you. It's on project executing and the execution phase. Go in and look at those slides, review that video. It's got some great information for you. Now, your Zoom live lecture for Module 4 is going to be called Reducing Project Duration. The 3 areas that as a project manager you have control over, cost, schedule, and resources, are the only, I'll call it widgets, knobs that you can kind of turn. And your responsibility is to try to make your project as most effective and efficient as possible. And the only way to do that is to move those, I'll call it knobs, up and down. And you'll need to dial those in in real time as you're moving through the project. So our week 4 Zoom live lecture also gives you the opportunity to talk to me if there's any problems, issues, or concerns you have as we're moving through the project. Now, this module is going to have one that is where we kind of take the second part of our options for scheduling, whether that's Microsoft Project or whether that's Monday.com or the manual method for calculating earned value, and you'll see how that fits in to this particular piece of reducing project duration. Okay? Now, also, the ECS PMO message for this week, we're wanting to know, once again, who the team leader is, and we want to know if you had the opportunity to test another mega driver, or if there's failures based upon certain things that are happening in your messages coming from the PMO. We need information on that. So you'll see that this week the test manager is involved, and they're asking you for questions based upon the success or failure of the testing of the mega driver in your project. Now, once again, also the individual assignment is for the team leader. That team leader uploads all of the weekly assignments. For week 4, they will review. As the team leader, I need you to review all of the information that was in the week 3 report so that you see seamlessly that we're moving forward. Also, you're conducting any Zoom meetings, iConnect meetings, any interactions that are done in Monday.com. All of that's being controlled theoretically by you. You're orchestrating that. We need to make sure that you really got a good grasp on where we're headed, and it is a different team leader this week. So this will be the 4th team leader. You should have enough team leaders to get all the way through so everybody gets a chance to be a team leader at least once. Some of you will have an opportunity to do it twice. Okay? Now, that's the individual assignment. The team assignments for this week. You've got 2 different pieces of it. One of them is to go in and calculate earned value. So if you have gone into option 1 of Microsoft Project, then what we've got laid out for you is the need to go in and add costs and resources, hours and people. Load that into the Microsoft Project file to create a snapshot. That snapshot is going to be the baseline. Once you've created the baseline, then what we need to do is we need to then go ahead and shut the project down, and the instructions are in here for how you would completely close the project down, and then you will calculate earned value based upon the delta between those 2 numbers. That will give you a CPI, an SPI, an earned value calculation that lets you know from a project performance standpoint how well you did or how well you're doing at this moment in time. And remember that an earned value snapshot is always just the snapshot at this moment. Okay? You're always trying to get to a 1.0 from a schedule standpoint, which means that you've delivered everything, but everything up until the point of delivery could potentially be below that. So that's option 1 if you're using Microsoft Project. If you went with Monday.com, then what I have is I have an alternate assignment for you, and that alternate assignment has a series of earned value questions. So you would still need to go into your Monday.com file. You would still need to resource load against it. Okay, so get as much resource information in there for you as possible. That way you can actually calculate and understand exactly what your cost status would be on the project. That would be if you're using the Monday.com version. If you're not, and you're using the project planner, which is that Excel spreadsheet, you'll see that the instructions for that are, once you've got all this information into the manual, Gantt chart, we're asking you to add 2 additional values. We're asking you to go in and create 2 new columns, one for cost, one for resources, so that you can understand from a schedule standpoint how long, duration-wise, from an hourly perspective, each of the tasks takes, so that we can then sum that up and we understand the cost of each of the elements. That will ultimately give you the ability to understand what the potential overrun would be or how much your project will cost. In addition to that, if you're using option number 3, you will also have the opportunity then to do the 4 questions, or the questions, the earned value ones, and answer those to finish off the earned value side. So remember, there's 3 different options depending on the options you selected in week 3. They are going to drive your decision as how you move forward into week 4. But week 4 is ultimately getting that plan together to where we really understand it to the point where we can control it. We have to understand our costs. We have to understand what our baseline scope is, what the project really looks like on paper. Okay? Now, when we get into our discussion forums for this week, don't forget that there's 3 posts required on 3 separate days to get full credit. 3 posts for each one of those is a total of 6. So make sure you're getting 6 posts in there. Remember to add the why. So if you agree with somebody, don't just say, I agree. Tell me why you agree. If you disagree, tell me why you disagree. Give us the logic. Give us more information than you probably initially think you should. It won't be lost in the details, especially as I come in and respond to you and pull at the discussion forums. Okay, so for this week, we're going to be talking about project reserve, project management reserve, contingency reserves, all of that piece, and we're going to be talking about project control. How do we handle a project? How do we control it? What are the tools? What are the techniques? What are the areas that we really need to have a handle on? Then finally, you're back into your PMBOK for your readings this week, and you're going to see that we are really going through those domains. So for week 4, what we've got lined up for you is going to be chapters 2.5, 2.6, and 2.7. 2.5 is going to be the project work performance domain. Then 2.6 is the delivery performance domain. And then finally, chapters 2.7 are measurement performance domains. Those 3 domains are going to cover the executing of a project for you very well. They're also going to have probably about 40 or 50 pages of review, but a lot of that is going to be graphics. So don't forget to take a peek at the graphics. Make sure you really understand that. Now, finally, in addition to that, you've got the Larson and Gray textbook, and we're really starting to get through the majority of the meat in this. But in chapter 4, you're going to be going into managing risk. We want you to do chapter 7, which is pages 212 through 257. It's going to be on managing risk. And chapter 8 on scheduling, resources, and costs, page 258 through 317. That's going to fill up a lot of what you've got on your plate this week. So you're going to see that this week is probably going to be one of the bigger weeks for you. It's going to feel like there's a tsunami that is continuing to grow. You're over halfway through the course. Things are looking great. Now, don't forget, in Module 6, you have a series of activities that are closing the project down. So you're going to see this wave of everything so that we can get to the point where you do your final report and your final presentation based upon the information of all this as it flows through for you on a project. Let me know if you run into any problems, issues, or concerns, or if you need any additional guidance as we continue to move forward. But congratulations once again on completing Module 3. We're into Module 4. Have a great week. Bye-bye.